If you look at what has been happening in Uganda over the last 15, 20 years, you have got the worst cases of torture, human rights abuses, murders, just shootings, and it is bad. Now, we cannot start categorizing. I'm one of those allies you're talking about, and I can assure you that the problems of gay and lesbian people in Uganda are just another form of torture that every other Ugandan is facing right now. And unless we fight this kind of discrimination and abuse of human rights, this fight is similar to the fight against Nazism. It's similar to the fight against apartheid. We must tackle it in that context. It's just got to be done that way. Why? Because if you look at all the newspaper editorials from Uganda, right? I've been posting many of them to Peter Tashel. All the reasonable voices are saying one thing: Uganda does not need this anti-gay bill simply because it violates the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, and it is not in the interests of the country. And the other question they ask themselves is, why is us, Europeans, right? Why are we coming up on this issue when, I mean, the majority of Ugandans have been facing the bullet for the last, 30 or 40 years. So we've got to put these things together and fight this battle as the battle of the human being, the individual human being. That is how we're going to get to protect the rights of that person in the village, on the ground, making sure that he has got his rights protected, whether he's a woman, whether he's a man, whether he's black, whether he's white, whether he's gay, or whether you want to call him, some people call him straight, but I don't. But what I'm saying is that we have to look at it in the context of all human beings protected, and that is why we can win.
The problem is, I think, that trying to, kind of talk about human rights is often characterized as being a kind of a Western or European approach, and I don't know how you start talking about that in a way that's appropriate for Africa.
Well, I think, like Tola said when I don't know that somebody actually saw me, that was almost 6 years ago now, that I went to national television in Nigeria to actually, maybe I should keep wearing that wig everywhere I go to be the first out gay man in Nigeria. I think what I said and what I did at that time was actually to put a black face to what is assumed to be a white disease. So, invariably, I came out and I said, I am African. I've never traveled out of Nigeria. I've always lived my life in Nigeria. And I'm gay. And I think the question of being gay came up, and I said, well, to me, the word gay is a Western word. I don't understand it. But what I understand is, I love men. So, I don't know what you would call that, whether you would call that gay, straight, heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, transgender, whatever you call it. But the thing is, one, I'm African, I'm black, I'm a Nigerian, and I happen to love men. And I think that is the approach that is appropriate when you want to tackle heteronormativity in African homosexuality and homophobia. You don't have to. I think we should try and move away from using the word gay, because people are going to throw the stone back at you that the word gay is a Western word. If you talk about sexual behavior, I think it's much more appropriate than talking about sexual, how would I put it? I don't want to say sexual identity because gay sounds more like an identity. But when you talk about sexual behavior, it gives you more weight because it is your behavior. It is who you are. Nobody can take it away from you. And I think kind of like leads to what you identify yourself as.